All right, before I get into this Saints Patriots preview with all of you, just want to thank every single one of you that have given this program a shot over the past 3-4 weeks. This week we had our first pod, our first YouTube video hit over 1,000 views, which is a fantastic benchmark for the first month of this show, and it's all due to you. Cannot appreciate you more than I do, and I cannot just love the support that we have gotten so far early on with this. So I thank you. All right, enough with that. Enough with the pleasantries, as an old friend might say. But let's talk about Saints, Patriots, two teams that are coming off of terrible losses. We know what happened in Dallas. Meanwhile, the Saints lose a home game to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They got embarrassed by Baker Mayfield and company. So we have two desperate teams meeting up on Sunday. We also have two offenses that are not very good. Two of the worst offenses so far in the NFL through the first month of this season. I think it's more of a talent issue in New England than it is in New Orleans, which I'll get to in a little while. But both offenses have been struggling, as Joe Namath once said a long time ago. I am actually going to this game, and I'm afraid, as I sit there at Gillette Stadium with some of you listening to this, I'm afraid of what I'm going to witness on Sunday. I have concerns. I think myself and everybody else, whether you're going to the game, watching the game, listening to the game on Sunday, get ready for a rock fight, a fist fight in a phone booth type game. I do not think we're going to see offensive explosions. I think this is going to be very similar to the Jets game, although I do expect Derek Carr to play better than Zach Wilson did, and that's not because Derek Carr's playing great, which we'll get to, but it's more a fact how bad Wilson is against the Patriots and Bill Belichick. So I would expect that type of game on Sunday. I do not think it's going to be very aesthetically pleasing. Now, the first question is, how healthy are the Patriots? They have 10 guys on the injury report listed as limited. How many of those guys are actually going to make the game on Sunday? It's a big-time question. Of course, we know that Matthew Judon is out. Christian Gonzalez is out. Both guys likely out for the rest of the season. And if the Patriots fall to 1-4, things are going to get ugly. Everything that we've heard over the last week is just going to get worse. It's going to get louder. It's going to get worse. It's going to get more negative, pessimistic. It's going to be really, really bad here in New England if the Patriots lose against the Saints. It's going to be ugly. And I would say it's justified. If this team is on Monday 1-4, when we talk about what happened on Sunday, if this team is 1-4, 0-3 at home, yeah, I think we need to absolutely eviscerate this team, eviscerate the franchise and how it's been run. And Belichick watch will truly begin, I believe. I know some of you already are on Belichick watch, but it will truly begin if this team loses on Sunday. So let's get to it. Patriots offense, let's start there. And Mac Jones needs a big response after what happened in Dallas. We all know that. As I said during yesterday's podcast, all eyes are going to be on Mac. Unfortunately for Mac in this offense, this is really a terrible matchup. If you were going to draw up a team that you would not want Mac and company to face after what happened last weekend, it would be this defense, this team. This has all the makings of forcing the Patriots offense to once again have a miserable performance. Now, that does not excuse if Mac goes out there and falls on his face. I've said that multiple times. If he falls on his face and he looks like he looked in Dallas, then we have to entertain the idea that he is fully broken. I'm not there yet. I'm looking at last week's game as an isolated incident. He was good the first 3 weeks, all things considered. Fell on his face last week. If he falls on his face again this week, that is some true concern. That is DEFCON 1 type stuff. So this is a bad matchup for him to light it up. Really, any matchup is bad to light it up with this offense, but especially this one. I would not expect Mac to go crazy in this game on Sunday. Good crazy. Bad crazy? It's possible. It's on the table. This is a team that deploys a lot of man coverage. They play man coverage fantastic. And we've discussed in the past how teams have had the book on this offense since 2019. They're not afraid of the outside receivers, yada, yada. So get ready for a lot of man on Sunday from New Orleans. They're going to play man coverage. They're going to press the wide receivers. They are very, very physical, which we'll get into in a little bit. But this is a good man cover team. Marshawn Lattimore, Tyrann Mathieu, some other guys we'll talk about. This team has talent in the secondary. They're aggressive. They play man. They play physical. So be ready for it. And I think what we'll see from Mac is a very conservative Mac Jones. I think we'll see a super, uber, duper conservative Mac Jones on Sunday. All week long, I'm sure it's been drilled in Mac's head. Take care of the football. Don't turn it over. Don't try to do too much. What I anticipate from the quarterback on Sunday is somebody who plays super safe, not willing to take risks. He knows what's on the line here. And again, it's been drilled in his head by Bill O'Brien. I'm sure of it. I'm sure it's been drilled in the head by Bill Belichick as well. So I think the quarterback is going to play a very safe brand of football on Sunday. I think the offense is going to be called very safe. He's going to try to limit the turnovers. He's got to be quick and decisive. What does Bill O'Brien cook up against the man coverage defense in the quick game? Are they able to establish some kind of screen game, whether it's running back screens, whether it's the old school tight end screens with Mike Gesicki, which I don't think we've seen once this year? Is it going to be bubble screens to receivers like Pop Douglas? Will Pop Douglas actually go out there and play more than 18 snaps because you need his speed off the line of scrimmage? But this is going to be, I think, a very safe game plan and a very conservative quarterback running that game plan. And really, I'm not looking for Mac to light the world on fire on Sunday. I just want to see Mac look poised. If he looks poised, if he looks decisive, if he looks confident, even if the numbers are not quite there, I'll be okay with that. I want to see that poise. This defense for New Orleans, not only will they play man and play physical, they also disguise an awful lot in the secondary. So Mac has to be prepared. They will play a lot of games with the quarterback. They will throw a lot of different looks post-snap against Mac Jones. And so Mac has to be very careful. What he sees when the ball is snapped is not what he's going to see after that snap, especially on third down. Got to be prepared for it. Has to play smart football. If he does that, then I think we feel a little bit better about the quarterback after what happened last weekend in Dallas. The tight ends, I brought up Mike Gesicki. Gesicki and Hunter Henry have to show up in this game because I think the wide receivers, outside of some bunch formations, which you can run, get a little bit creative, play some of that quick game every once in a while, especially whenever the corners decide to lay off of you a little bit and give you a few yards off the line. Aside from that, I think it's going to be a tough day for these receivers. I brought up Lattimore. He's a shutdown corner, one of the best in the league. Adebo, he was limited at practice this week. He has missed the last game or so for the Saints. He's expected to be back. So Adebo will be back out there. Yadam's out there. He's been playing fantastic football since Adebo's been out. Taylor, I mean, all of these guys. If you look at the Saints secondary, I'll give you some numbers quick. 4th in opposing quarterback completion percentage, 6th in interception percentage, 4th in opposing passer rating, 6th in opposing passer yards per game. So, I mean, you look at all the statistics and you look at most of the analytics, it tells you this cornerback group is damn talented, damn good, damn aggressive, damn physical in New Orleans. And that really is trouble for Juju and Devontae and pretty much everybody else. This cornerback room is good. So what will Bill O'Brien do to respond? What's he going to do game plan-wise? I hope we see more. I hope we see more creativity. I hope we see some jet sweeps. I hope we see some funky tosses, maybe some pitch plays. We saw that once with Ezekiel Elliott in the first game of the year, and it worked out pretty well. As I mentioned, I hope we see screens, running backs, tight ends, wide receivers. Please, every single one of you, apply to catch a screen this weekend. I hope we see some creativity because it can't be the same. Something has to change. Something has to change schematically against man coverage. And it has to start this weekend. It just has to. They're going to have to be able to run the football. Again, maybe some tosses thrown into the mix. Maybe a little bit more fullback in the backfield with Pharaoh Brown as fullback. But they need to start changing some things. They know what they have by now. We're 4 games in. We're a month into the season. You know what you have at this point. It is time to adjust and get the most out of the weapons, quote unquote, that you have. I want to see play action. Oh, the offensive line isn't good. Well, it doesn't matter what you run. Sound like The Rock. It doesn't matter what you run as an offense with this offensive line, you're still going to get pressure. We've seen that, whether it's shotgun, whether it's trying to chip a guy with the tight ends, whether it's, under the center, whether it's play, you're going to get pressure. So you might as well just deal with the pressure and put Mac in a situation where he's been good. He's been a top 7 quarterback in play action play this year. He's one of the most efficient and best quarterbacks in the league when you run play action. You've only run it 17% of the time this year. I want to see more play action on Sunday. You've got to change some things up. I want to see more bunch formations. I want to see, again, Pop Douglas play more than 18 freaking snaps on Sunday. It's time. It's time to start making some of these changes and to start adapting to what you have instead of what you hope you have. This defense, very handsy, very physical. One thing I would say about this Patriots team, especially on the offensive side, they're soft. Their receivers have played soft. Their offensive line has played soft. Their tight ends are not blocking. They're not physical tight ends. They're more route running tight ends. This offense in totality from 30,000 feet is soft. And this Saints defense is going to fight them. They have to respond to that. They have to answer the challenge. They have to throw punches back. They cannot play soft on Sunday. They can't get pushed around in the trenches. They have to play tough football. Now, with all that physicality, the good news for the Patriots is that this Saints defense, they will give you some free yards. They lead the league in defensive holding. They lead the league in defensive pass interference calls. You will be able to get some free plays against this defense. You have to make the most of them. But they will have flags thrown onto that field on Sunday because of their physical play and their aggressiveness. You also can take advantage of some of that aggressiveness with things like double moves. Have your receivers on the outside throw a double move. I'd love to see Pop Douglas on the outside for a snap, throw a double move. Because these corners in this secondary, especially Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, they're going to take some risks. They're going to play aggressively. Can you pick your spots? You don't want to go crazy again because you don't want to ask Mac to do too much in this game, not after last week. But can you pick your spots offensively to take advantage of the aggressiveness that the Saints will show? Do not turn the football over. Patriots are 27th in turnover differential at -5. Evan Lazar had the note this week that when you look at the bottom 6 teams in that metric, turnover differential, the bottom 6 teams combine their records are 6-18, losing football. Do not turn the football over. Early down success rate is another thing. Be successful on first and second down. The Patriots are dead last in the league when it comes to turning the football over or punting to end their drives. 71% of the Patriots' drives this year have ended in a punt or a turnover. That's brutal. And finish drives. Every yard against this defense will count. Every drive counts. The Saints are 11th in red zone defense. This is a defense before last week that held 11 straight teams to 20 points or less. So before last week against Tampa, 11 straight games of holding the opposition to 20 points or less. So when you have the opportunity to score points, you have to score points against this defense, because if you miss a field goal, if you turn the ball over on the plus side of the field, now you're looking at scoring 10 points. You've got to take advantage. Like, rate, review, subscribe to the pod, Apple Pod, Spotify, also YouTube. Again, hit 1,000 views on an episode this week for the first time in this show's existence. That is big time, and it's all thanks to you. The likes, the thumbs up, take a second away from your day. If you're listening, watching, you're on YouTube, give me that thumbs up. I saw this morning we have 5-star ratings over there on Spotify and Apple Pods and all of that stuff. Keep giving us those ratings and reviews. They help so much. Let's jump to the Patriots defense now and look at the Saints offense. We'll do that. I'll also have my prediction, and I'll sprinkle in some Shohei Ohtani and Red Sox stuff a little bit later on as well. So, Patriots defense, no Gonzalez, no Judon. You start there. How will they adapt? I think you'll see more Keon White. I think you'll see more Dietrich Wise. I don't think it's a coincidence that Trey Flowers was at practice this week off of the IR. Looks like he's ready to come off of the IR. I would not be surprised if Flowers plays on Sunday. He gives that defensive line some more versatility. You can kick him inside. You can kick Wise outside. And I think you'll see Keon White play more this weekend than he's played in the first 4 games. Gonzalez, well, we know what's going on. The trade for J.C. Jackson, which I liked. J.C. Jackson was on the field at practice yesterday. I would expect him to play on Sunday. Mark Daniels of Mass Live reporting earlier today that Jonathan Jones is expected to return on Sunday. That is significant. This game, I think, is going to be tight. In a tight game, you need anybody that you can get that can help. And so Jonathan Jones being out there is going to help this defense. If you can start on the outside with J.C. Jackson and Jonathan Jones, that's a hell of a lot better than what we thought last week. I mean, on Monday, we thought we were looking at Shaun Wade and Miles Bryant, maybe with a little bit of Jalen Mills sprinkled in. If you're telling me on Sunday that you've got J.C. Jackson, even if he's at 80%, still better than Shaun Wade, for the love of God. If you're telling me that you got J.C. Jackson at 75, 80% on the outside, on the other side, you got Jonathan Jones, you got Miles Bryant in the slot, that is competitive. So good news on the Jonathan Jones front, according to, again, Mark Daniels of Mass Live. The Saints offense, when you look at it numbers-wise, they're really close to the Patriots. This Saints offense has not been very good. But I don't think it's because of the weapons. Before we get to that, I'll give you some numbers because they're brutal. If New England fans and New Orleans fans should get together at Gillette before this game on Sunday. Again, I'll be there. I'll be tailgating. If you want to come by, see me or whatever, let me know. If you go to games, let me know where you're at. Maybe I could swing by. No promises. I'm probably going to be short on time. I got some other things to do before the game. But if I could swing by, I'll swing by. I'm telling you, Saints and Patriots fans, we all need to get together and have a beer. Several beers on Sunday before this game, because what you have felt as a Patriots fan watching this offense is very similar to how Saints fans have felt watching their offense. 25th in scoring at 15.5 points per game. They are the worst red zone offense in football. They are 29th in the league in yards per play. 4.4 yards per play. That's less than the Patriots. Woof. Here are some other tidbits about this Saints offense. They've gone 10 straight games scoring 21 or fewer points dating back to last season. The offense has more turnovers this season than touchdowns. Yikes. The Saints have gone 17 consecutive possessions without scoring a touchdown. This offense has been horrid. And now you know why. I'm saying get ready for it on Sunday. I don't think it's going to be an exciting game to watch. But here's the difference between the Saints offense and the Patriots offense. The Saints offense, they have weapons. Alvin Kamara came back from his suspension last week. He had 13 receptions for like 40 yards. We'll get into that in a minute. But Alvin Kamara, one of the best running backs in football, certainly from a receiving standpoint, him and Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, those guys are pretty much at the tippity top of the mountain. So you've got Kamara, Michael Thomas, has looked good when he's been given opportunity this year. He's gone through a bunch of injuries, but he looks like he's healthy right now. Chris Olave is a stud receiver. I loved him at Ohio State. He's a guy that can make plays if given the chance. Rashid Shaheed is another guy, kind of a Pop Douglas type, but bigger than Douglas. So they've got weapons. Kamara, Thomas, Olave, Shaheed, they've got the weapons. But the problem has been, I think, twofold. Offensive line and coaching, which we'll get to. But the number one priority for the Patriots on Sunday is to limit the run game. You've got to limit the run game. Put this game on Derek Carr. Put this game totally on Carr. He has a sprained AC joint. He's not healthy. He didn't look healthy last week. I don't think he'll look much healthier this weekend. You have to put this game on Derek Carr. Take out the run and force Derek Carr to try to beat you. Because when you look at what Carr did against Tampa, and when you look at the plan, it was some plan, and it was some what Tampa gave to the Saints. What Tampa did was they were not going to give up any big plays. They played a bunch of zone against New Orleans last week, and they said, look, we're not going to let you beat us deep. We're not going to let you have these impact plays down the field to Olave. We're not going to allow Rashid Shaheed to beat us with chunk plays. So Tampa kind of laid back, and they gave Carr everything underneath. They said dink and dunk, dink and dunk. I think we'll see a lot of the same thing from the Patriots defense this weekend. No Judon, Anthony Jennings, along with White and Wise. I think Jennings will play snaps this weekend. And you're not going to have the pass rush especially when you're not in that substitution, when you can get Uche in there. You're not going to have that consistent pass rush and pressure on the edge from Judon. Tavai also might get a shot to play on the edge too. I think you'll see a number of guys there. But because of the lack of the rush, Patriots have gotten a lot of rush this year because they've blitzed a ton. I think what they'll do, and I could end up being dead wrong. I was dead wrong about the Cowboys game last weekend, right? I thought Dallas would come out and run, because that's Mike McCarthy's calling card. That's what he's done all year. They came out and threw the football a ton. What I think the Patriots will do, they'll play similarly to the way that Tampa did, especially without Christian Gonzalez. You don't have the guy now that you can say one-on-one, take him out, right? You can't just say Gonzalez is on Olave. Olave is going to have a tough time. And, Jonathan Jones with some help on the other side. You're not going to have – J.C. Jackson is not a one-on-one guy. The Chargers, we talked about this earlier in the week. The Chargers totally screwed the pooch with J.C. Jackson. They were playing him one-on-one on an island, just a brutal idea. He's not that kind of cornerback. He's not that guy. He's not Darrelle Revis. He's not Christian Gonzalez. He's not Stephon Gilmore. He's not that kind of corner. I think they'll play zone. They'll play a lot of zone. J.C. Jackson's a zone guy. Jonathan Jones coming back from injury. He can get some help as well. And that's what I think you'll see. You'll see the Patriots force Derek Carr to beat them with dink and dunk. And when you look at the next-gen stats from last week's game, it tells the story of Derek Carr in this offense against the Buccaneers. Yards per completion. Get this. Air yards per completion under a half a yard. 0.4. Air yards per completion. There was a ton behind the line of scrimmage. More than half of Derek Carr's completions last week were behind the line of scrimmage against Tampa. Everything was underneath. Everything was line of scrimmage. Carr tried to take a couple of shots downfield. He underthrew Olave a couple of times. He's got that AC joint problem. This offense, you want to talk about dink and dunk. I mean, it was at ridiculous levels, under 200 yards of offense last week. Kamara, again, he had 13 catches for like 35, 40 yards. Not many explosive plays on Sunday. The Saints are 26th in yards per pass, so it's not just a last week thing. They're 21st in passing yards per game. If you want to know how bad last week was, the Saints offense had 11 drives last week. Okay, so the Saints had 11 drives last week. Over half of those drives, they had 5 yards and under. That's bad. That's worse than the Patriots from what we've seen. Not last week, but that's hideous. But a big part of the problem is their offensive line has been dinged up. So they are getting healthier up front. If they are healthy, relatively speaking, on Sunday on the offensive line, they should be better. And my concern would be if they get the run game going. If they get the run game going on Sunday, that will open up some other opportunities for them to do different things in the pass game. But again, if you can clog that offensive line up, if you can clog that run game up, if you put this on Carr, you play some zone on the back end, and you force them to get 2-3 yards at a time, you got to come up, rally, and tackle. We've seen some missed tackles from this Patriots defense. You've got to be tackling on Sunday sure-handedly. You can't miss tackles. You miss a tackle against Kamara, he can turn a 5-yard gain into a 20. You miss a tackle on Michael Thomas on a slant route, he can turn a 5-yard gain to a 20. You miss a tackle on Rashid Shaheed or Chris Olave, they can turn an 8 to 10-yard gain into taking it to the house. You've got to be able to tackle. You have to. So this offensive line for New Orleans, again, they're getting healthier. I think they had their best game last week of the season, so they probably feel like they're getting a little bit of momentum. You wonder about the pass rush without Judon. If you look at, just this matchup in the trenches, Saints offense versus Patriots defense, the Saints, I use this number a lot, the composite offensive line ratings, right, and rankings, the composite pass pro, the composite run block and all of that stuff. It takes 3 different metrics and it combines them and tells you how good the offensive line is or how bad they are. The Saints are number 22 in composite pass pro rating. Again, they've been banged up, but they haven't been great at protecting the quarterback. When you look at the Patriots pass rush with Matthew Judon, 11th in pressure percentage, 12th in overall pressures, 7th in hurries, 7th in hurry percentage. But as I said a few minutes ago, they've been getting a lot of that pressure because of the blitz. The Patriots have blitzed the third most in the league this year. Steve Belichick and Gerard Mayo have blitzed a ton. I mean, they blitzed all day long against the New York Jets. So they've blitzed the third most in the league as far as blitz percentage. Will they do that against Carr? I don't know if they'll send a lot of heat at Carr consistently because of what we just went over. The final thing about the defense offense, can Steve Belichick and Mayo, can they outcoach and outwit Pete Carroll? Now, or Pete Carmichael. Pete Carroll's in Seattle, Nick. Pete Carmichael, who's the OC in New Orleans. Can they outmatch him? Now, usually I'd say this should be a layup, but they were outcoached last week by Mike McCarthy. And don't get it twisted. Dallas is good. Dallas is very talented. Mike McCarthy is not a very good coach. And he ran laps. He ran circles. McCarthy and Dan Quinn ran circles around this Patriots coaching staff last week. So I'm not going to take this for granted. Little Belichick and Mayo have to step up against Pete Carmichael because Pete Carmichael has been a god-awful play caller. People think about the Saints offense and how they did well with Drew Brees and all of that. That was when Sean Payton was there calling plays. Since Carmichael's taken over, they've been bad. And I've got the numbers. Bob Rose from Sports Illustrated. In 21 games with Carmichael as the play caller, the Saints have averaged under 19 points a game. They've hit the 30-point mark only twice. And again, this is a team with weapons. They've been held to less than 350 total yards in 13 straight games. Now, what are the criticisms? Why is Carmichael so bad? Too often, Saints come in with an offensive game plan, writes Rose, that's unimaginative and predictable with an inability to make even the smallest in-game adjustments. They come in with a plan. The plan's predictable. They never waver from the plan. The plan is the plan. We got a plan. We got a plan. Let's go with the plan. Does this sound familiar? This is, again, Bob Rose writing about the Saints offense, taking deep shots on third and short situations when the team's defense is desperate for the offense to just possess the ball for a rest. Calling for every pass route to come up short of first down sticks on third and medium or third and long. Hello, Juju Smith-Schuster. So it's been bad. X factor Taysom Hill, how much will he play? Where will he play? You always have to be concerned and stay locked in on Taysom Hill because this is a game that's likely going to be tight. Neither team has scored a lot of points. One play from Taysom Hill can change this game, can impact this game. All right, prediction coming up. Also, is Shohei Ohtani to the Red Sox a legit possibility? I'll get to all of that. But first, like, rate, review, and subscribe. Apple Pod, Spotify, YouTube, Nick Cattle Show, Monday through Friday. We get you every single weekday by 3 p.m. Eastern time. This puppy will be posted. Okay, prediction. Patriots 16, Saints 13. Am I confident? I am not. Not after last week. But I'm picking the Patriots. I think Mac will play conservative. I think because they will play so safe and conservative, I think they will not turn the football over nearly as much. I'm not saying they'll have 0 turnovers, but I don't think they'll turn the ball over 3 or 4 times. The weather is supposed to be beautiful on Sunday, so no weather condition excuses. So I think you'll see a conservative game plan from the offense. They'll do enough to score some points, not a ton. Derek Carr's not healthy. I think against Belichick and Jonathan Jones coming back, J.C. Jackson, again, if he's 80%, play some zone. I think there'll be enough there defensively to limit the Saints. Again, you can't give up 1 or 2 big plays, and that's on the board. J.C. Jackson, he's given up big plays in the past. Jonathan Jones has given up some big plays in the past. You give up 1 shot over the top to Olave, it's a different game. Taysom Hill makes 1 play, it's a different game. Rashid Shaheed busts out in special teams because, again, he's one of those electric guys. It's a different game. But Carr dinged up against Belichick. I think, you look at some of the worst losses this team has faced in Belichick's era, they usually come back and play good football. I'm not saying they win 35-10, but I do expect them to be more responsible on Sunday and more honed in and play more physical and just be better. I don't think they can start. They can't start 0-3 at home, right? I know they're not a very good football team, but starting 0-3 at home, they're not that bad, are they? So I think Carr will make a mistake or two, and I think that the Patriots will survive. I've got the Patriots 16-13, take the under. All right, quickly before we say goodbye to you. Shohei Ohtani. What's going on with Ohtani? Well, the latest from John Heyman in the New York Post yesterday afternoon, quote, Shohei Ohtani and the Red Sox are starting to be linked more and more. One executive with an interested team said he believes they are a real threat. Heyman also mentioned the New Balance connection and relationship, which has been reported on before. Ohtani just signed a big deal with New Balance in Boston. You get it. All right, so here's what I would say. You've stunk the last 2 years. Last place finishes 2 years in a row. And the perception was that Chaim Bloom wasn't willing to pull the trigger. And ownership and other people, I'm sure, in that front office did not waste any time shortly after the deadline to start leaking out that information. Almost immediately, Chaim Bloom was thrown under the bus, and deservedly so, by the way. But almost immediately, ownership, front office, whoever it was, multiple people, started to throw Bloom under the bus. He was afraid to pull the trigger, which he was. They thought he was going to pull the trigger. There were some reports that he turned down a Chris Sale trade going back that he should have pulled, right? There were some reports that the Red Sox, they had trades set up, and those trades made their way to ownership. And ownership, they were expecting the trades to be made at the deadline this year. And then for some reason, the trades weren't made. So 2 last place finishes, back-to-back last place finishes, the perception of Bloom not swinging, and you might even say it's not even a perception anymore because of what he didn't do at the deadline the last few years. So you had a GM that wouldn't swing, so you get rid of that GM. The expectation should be that this GM, whoever it's going to be, is going to take some swings, right? Back-to-back last place finishes, hesitancy to pull the trigger on a big move. It's time to do it. By the way, you raise ticket prices on season ticket holders after 2 last place finishes, back-to-back last place finishes, and you raise ticket prices. You best take a swing or two. I don't know if Ohtani's going to be that guy. I don't think that Ohtani is worth $500 million plus if he's not going to pitch. I know some people have come out and said that he's worth $500 million even if he doesn't pitch. I disagree. Mike Trout got $430 million at 27 years old. That is right when you start your prime. Trout got $430. Ohtani's 29. He's already had 1 Tommy John surgery. He might have another. Coming off of 2 Tommy John surgeries and 29 years old, I don't think you pay that guy $500 million. Aaron Judge got, $360? I don't think Ohtani, if he's not going to pitch, I don't think he's worth $500 million or more. So where are they at? We'll see. And aside from Ohtani, if he's not going to pitch, I'd say that's what the Red Sox need. Your number one need to me is a legitimate starting pitcher, a guy that you might feel much better about starting the season at number 1 other than Chris Sale. And I know Alex Cora said that, the plan is to have Sale pitch the first game of the season next year. I'm not banking on Chris Sale. Nobody should bank on Sale. I'm not even sure Sale's banking on Sale. Sale's banking on Sale. That's good. Yamamoto, that's a name. Jordan Montgomery's been floated out there. They need pitching. So we'll see what happens. But Ohtani again linked with the Red Sox. All right. Like, rate, review. Don't forget to subscribe. The more thumbs up on YouTube means more eyeballs, more comments. That's how the algorithm gets beaten. Let's beat down the algorithm. Enjoy and appreciate all of the support. Everybody, again, try to just get through the game on Sunday. I'll be there. I might be half in the bag by the third quarter, especially if it goes bad. But I'll be there. Let's try to get through it together. And on Monday, we'll be back to recap this game and anything else that might happen over the weekend in Boston sports. Till then, be good, be safe, be healthy, and have some fun.